Join some music there. Welcome back. Welcome back. Again, you're listening to Whissel Weekend. In the studio with me, this is Jason Hall, Team Home Loans, the co-host for over 5 years with Kyle Whissel and the Whissel Realty team, and one of the rising stars in his office, Keith Bryan, who has just been kind of, killing it this past year and learning a lot of stuff. And then one of his friends he's brought into studio is Bob. And again, Bob, what's your last name?
Donnell.
How do you spell that?
Donnell.
Okay, Bob Donnell. And Bob's a
human behaviorist.
Yeah.
He teaches people how to do tricks.
There you go. There you go.
In part of that trick, we talked about this just coming up. It's kind of like you said, and I can't say it the exact same way you did, but I'm thinking rethinking, but it's how'd you say
reverse engineering.
Reverse engineering. See, I'm just a mortgage guy, I'm not an engineer guy. But reverse engineering, right? How do you do that? So give us some basic things so that we can all understand what is it exactly that you do.
Well, the interesting thing is I do a lot of breakthrough work, a lot of intervention work, because I was raised at 15. I was asked what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I said, I don't know what I want to be when I grew up. But the gentleman who asked me that had a very profound effect on me, because his concept was, Bob, you can learn a product, service, or industry, or you can learn one thing that drives any product, service, or industry. And I said, what's that? And he said, human behavior. He said, if you understand why people think and or do the things that they do, you can be successful in anything. And I said, okay, great. So I said, sign me up. So I became a peer counselor, and then fast forward 4 years, I founded a nonprofit organization working with suicide prevention, crisis management. Had an amazing board of directors. Thank you.
Thank you for doing that. I mean, we need that. We still need a lot of that.
We still do, absolutely.
And it's ongoing.
And it was such a great learning experience for me. But what I learned out of that was, if you understand people, it doesn't matter what you're doing in life. As long as you're dealing with people,
right,
you'll be successful. You can be very successful at it. So fast forward, using that over the course of my lifetime, I really started looking and saying, if people have a goal, all we have to do is help them align their behavior with that goal. When somebody has a goal and they're not achieving it, it's typically because they don't have a behavior that warrants that or does that, produces that result. So I started looking at ways that we could help people reduce the stress and increase the results by aligning their behavior with their desired results. So I've worked with realtors, I've worked with celebrities, I've worked with professional athletes, I've worked with drug addicts. I mean, you name it. I've literally been blessed to have the opportunity to work with military, everybody that you can possibly imagine. And the focus is always the same. How do you repeat or create a pattern that works for somebody on an ongoing basis? See, it's not good enough to do one thing one time. What we have to do is create sustainability. If you want long-term success in your business, you have to create sustainability. Most people have success, but they don't know how they got there, and then they don't know how to repeat it, rinse and repeat. So that's my method, is to really help. And the first thing is to help them realize the problem is not the problem. The first thing is always the problem is not the problem.
Is not the problem.
I can ask anyone, what's your biggest problem? And they'll say, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time.
Biggest problem is me.
but is that the problem?
Well, I'm sure it's my behavior, my mindset, because even one of the questions I want to ask you is, I've always, the last, probably 15, 20 years, I've always been a little bit weight challenged. I'm I'm about 250 at 50 years old. And I've been up and down, and Kyle loves teasing me. We did a half marathon. I dropped all the way down to 219 the day of the half marathon. Wow. But if I'm not running like 5 to 10 miles often, I'm not losing weight. So, but there's other behavior.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And it boils down to one of the next level pillars. My company's name is Everything Next Level. So I do next level pillars, and I've created over 120 of these pillars. But one of these pillars is whatever becomes acceptable becomes inevitable. So the moment we make something acceptable, a woman or a man that's in an abusive relationship, the minute it becomes acceptable, it's just going to continue. Right. Same thing. So I had a woman walk up to me and say, Bob, I keep gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight. What do I do about that? And I said, well, when did it become acceptable to be fat?
Yeah, somewhere in your mind, you.
Well, what do you think the answer is always? When did it become acceptable to be broke? When did it become acceptable to be fat? When did it become acceptable to be in an abusive relationship? What do you think the answer is? The number one answer is this. Never. It's never become acceptable to do that. And I said, really?
But somewhere in your mind,
there was a moment.
There
was a moment. So what I told her was, I said, there was a moment in time that it became acceptable. Let me ask you, have you ever walked into your closet, put on a pair of jeans, they were too tight? She said,
yes.
Yes. And I said, what did you do? Did you put them on anyways? Or did you put them back and reach for a looser pair? She goes, I reached for a loose repair. I said, that was the moment of acceptability. Because the next day you walked in, you didn't reach for a tight pair of jeans. You said, I already know the pain that caused me yesterday. I'm going to reach for another looser pair of jeans. And then the journey began. And it's the same thing with any behavior that we've got in our lives. The moment something becomes acceptable, it becomes inevitable that will just increase. So she's, what should I have done? I said, you should have worn the jeans. She goes,
created the pain.
They're so tight. I said, yes, but you would be so uncomfortable by the end of the day. You would have probably taken the stairs. You would have eaten less at lunch. You might have even walked a little bit further. You would have done something because you know that's so painful. You don't want to do that again. And she said, wow. But I said, here's the other thing is there's a subconscious reason why that was acceptable. She says, why? So we started talking over a course of about 15 minutes. My background's in intervention. I'm not a therapist, have no desire to be a therapist. I'm an interventionist. So I asked her, I said, so was there ever a moment when you were a young girl that you were walking and an older man looked at you in a way that made you feel uncomfortable? She said, yeah. I said, when? She was 15 years old.
Yeah, that's probably about the time it happens for a lot of young ladies.
Right off the bat, she knew. 15 years old.
All of a sudden, men are recognizing them, looking at them differently.
Sure. I said, what happened? She goes, walking down the mall, walking with my mom, very attractive mom, well-endowed mom. We're walking along, and this gentleman's walking towards us, and I noticed that he's looking at me longer than he looks at my mom. That was the first time I said, but that was the first time, but it wasn't the last. She goes, no, it just continued to happen. I said, so how did that make you feel? It made me feel terrible. I said, so did you want more of that? She goes, no, I wanted less of that. I said, so when did you start wearing baggy clothes? Because she was wearing a sweatshirt.
The next day, probably.
She goes, within a year. I said, okay, so you made it acceptable for men not to look at you. What we have to do to reverse that is make it acceptable for them to look at you. Do you want a relationship? She goes, yes. I said, do you want to be desired? Do you really want somebody to fall madly, passionately in love? She says, yes. I said, then what we have to do is we have to reverse engineer that. How do we get people to do that? So we started, I said, just wear a t-shirt or a shirt, no sweatshirt. I said, just put a little bit of eye makeup on, just something. I don't care what you do, but don't do a lot. Just do some. Over the next 6 months, she developed amazing self-esteem, great relationship. And to this day, I don't know, I haven't talked to her for several years, but to this day, I'm imagining she has a great relationship because she made it acceptable. Whatever becomes acceptable becomes inevitable, good or bad. But we have to learn how to do that.
So it's taking the time to spend with her to identify where the problem originated and maybe what caused it to originate, and then establishing an action plan, if you will, of baby steps moving forward away from that problem and growing in areas of improvement to ultimately get them to that place where they get their healthy relationship or reach that professional goal that they're looking for.
Yeah, but like I said, it always starts with the problem's not the problem. Whatever they come to me, Bob, I don't have enough money. No, that's the symptom. Let's talk about the problem.
Yeah, why don't you have enough money?
Why don't you have enough money? Why do you not have enough self-esteem? Bob, why, whatever it is, the problem's not the problem. So I say, what's the problem? Knowing fully well that they're going to give me a symptom, they're not going to give me a problem.
Right.
So when you say I spent time I can ascertain in about 3 minutes what's going on with somebody, typically because I know how to ask the right questions. One of my pillars is the better connection will come from the better questions that you ask. And so most of us are asking the wrong questions. I mean, just think about it. When we go and meet someplace, what's the first question we ask somebody or somebody asks us?
How you doing?
Hey, how you doing? What do you do? Well, what does that give? What does that give them? Any information about who you are as a person? No,
nothing.
So what I've really mastered is the art of asking better questions and then teaching that. So I teach that to sales professionals. I teach that to leadership teams, just everyday people, saying if we could teach you how to ask better questions, the inevitable result is you're going to get better answers. And so whether we're asking questions of ourselves or somebody else, we need to ask better questions.
And those better answers will end up in better results for, what you're trying to accomplish.
Sure.
Right? So let me ask you this. How do I get a hold of you? What's the best way to find
Bob, you can go to Bob Donnell.
behaviors?
You can go to bobdonnell.com. You can go to everythingnextlevel.com. You can send an email to bob@everythingnextlevel.com.
Okay.
You can even call 949-542-6398.
And that puts you right in there. And as always, you can reach any of our guests right directly to Kyle on his text line at 619-663-7355. So that's great information, Bob.
Well, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Being that I'm in real estate, I see this a lot. When prospecting cold leads that come in from maybe a Zillow lead, it's a very typical response for a real estate agent to pick up the phone. Hey, Mr. Seller, I saw that you were online looking at some homes that are for sale in your area. What did you think about those? That seems to be the very common question that they ask. mean, we're talking about asking the right questions here.
Asking better questions.
Ask a better question. What advice would you have for the realtors that are out there listening to maybe give consideration to an alternative question to that?
Yeah. Well, I think the linguist in me would say the first question that you're asked is okay. It's not bad. We're not looking to marry the person. We're just looking to open a door. So we could ask that question, but I would change one of the words.
Okay.
One of the words would be, what did you like? What did you, how did you like what you were looking at?
Yes.
I would say, what did you like best?
Okay.
Right? Because I want to draw out of them what they liked best. They'd say that it's a 4-bedroom. Oh, is 4-bedroom important? Right? So then I can ask better questions. But unfortunately, if we're asking the wrong question to begin with,
Yes.
the premise is all flawed.
Mm-hmm.
So now what we have to do is go back and try and re-engineer that. I'm a big believer in, making it simple, making the question as concise as possible,
Yes.
but knowing what do I want as an outcome. What do you want as an outcome when you call that person and say, I noticed you were on the website, I noticed you looked at this house. What do you want as the outcome?
An appointment.
Okay, great. So then move for that.
Okay.
I would love to explore this house with you and all the things that you mentioned that you loved about it.
Yes.
When can we get an appointment?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you can go
Good
alternative closing and do all
information.
that stuff.
Really good information.
Yeah, really good information. Hey, Bob, you brought a friend with you.
I did.
And I met Flo.
Yeah.
And I know she has a company called
Edible Creations. Well, Farm Girl Edibles,
Farm Girl Edibles.
but not the edibles you're thinking about.
Not the edibles that people
Doesn't have
start
CBD.
to think about.
Does not
It has
have
nothing to do with marijuana.
Right, right.
And we're going to have her next on at the next segment.
You
Learn
guys are
more
gonna be
about her
excited.
business. And what are some of the things? I mean, she brought in some peanut brittle.
Gourmet jellies, custom-made peanut brittle. You'll die for. I mean, this is the best stuff.
All right. So, Keith, Bob, we've got Flo coming up next.
Looking forward to it.
Farm Girl Edibles. And it's nothing to do with marijuana. So I want to make that very clear.
Nothing.
But it could if you want.
Yeah, no, it had nothing to do with that. So again, you're listening to Whissel Weekends, AM 1170, The Answer, 96.1. We'll be right back with Flo right after the message.